Hello everyone. Today we'll be learning about grammar. Okay, so we'll be learning about expressing contrast. You should be able to find this grammar item on your grammar book at unit 26. Okay, so what is a contrast? Okay, there are actually a few ways, a few or several ways to express contrast. Okay, contrast, that means the difference or differences when two or more people or objects, that means things, or even situations are being compared. Okay, what does it all mean? Okay, don't worry, let me give you an example or a few examples and then you understand. Contrast, that means when you're comparing things, okay, with things that are opposite meaning. Okay, for example, okay, we always use the word but and yet, right? Okay, so we use these connectives as contrasting ideas. Okay, but do you know the difference between these two? And I'm going to show you the differences between these two, and we are at the same time learning what's the meaning of contrast. Okay, so the word but has the meaning of however. Okay, it's just a little bit different when the usage, like sometimes the however cannot be put in the beginning of the first sentence, something like that. Okay, we will learn more about the differences between however and the usage of other connectives as well. You'll know the usage later on. But for now, you need to know the meaning is but. The meaning is similar to however. Okay, so it's more general, okay, compared with yet. Why do we say so? Because yet has a stronger contrast than the word but. Okay, but is more general. For example, she is poor, but she is happy. So you can be happy even though you are poor, right? Okay, so you are contrasting. Usually people think that when you're poor you can't be happy, but even though she is poor, she can be happy. Okay, all right, so this is a more general case, but when we are using the word yet, it's more surprising result. Okay, for example, she has lung cancer. Can you see lung cancer? The normal lung is red. This lung with lung cancer is chocolate or dark. All right, so she has lung cancer, yet she smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day. See, she still smokes so many cigarettes a day. So it's a surprising result. How can you do that? It's quite abnormal, I would think. It's quite surprising that she still smokes so many cigarettes even though she has lung cancer. So we are showing, yet it's showing the surprising feeling or result. Common, but it's more common. Okay, for example, he's ugly or unattractive, but I have never seen him without a girlfriend. That means he always has a girlfriend, even though he is not that attractive. Okay, so it's quite common. Not many people are very attractive or handsome, right? Okay, so maybe he's kind, he's helpful, he's intelligent, or he's humorous. So he always has a girlfriend. Okay, so this is we are talking about the common situation, nothing surprising, nothing special. It seems like that it's quite normal. Okay, if you are not attractive, if you are ugly, you can still have girlfriend. Nothing surprising. But when we use the word yet, okay, we use it in exaggerated circumstance. You will say, wow, shocked. Okay, so for example, he had broken both legs. We use the word yet. Okay, yet he refused to stop running the marathon. Look at him. He doesn't have 2 legs already. Okay, yet he still refused to stop running the marathon. That means he still wants to run the marathon competition. Okay, so this is very exaggerated circumstances. Okay, it's not easy to do it. Okay, so in conclusion, what's the difference between but and yet? When we use the word when we use but to show the contrast, okay, and yet for a very strong contrast. Okay, so both of the word but and yet showing the contrast. Okay, opposite ideas. The word but is just quite normal, general, and nothing special, not really surprising at all. But for the word yet, it has got a very strong contrast. It's got a surprising result and exaggerated circumstances. Okay, sometimes. All right, that's all for this slide. talking more about expressing contrast. Okay, there are maybe you have learned about those words already. Although, though, even though. Okay, they all have similar meaning, but what are the differences between them? Okay. Here is an example. Although or even though, although she had failed twice. Okay, any of these three can be you can use any of these three as alternative. Okay, and so although she had failed twice, comma, you have to put a comma after although. She did not give up. She still did not give up. Okay, or even though she had failed twice, she did not give up. Or you can say though she had failed twice, comma, she did not give up. Okay, or we can use the word but. She had failed twice. Okay, but she didn't give up. Okay, so this is actually comparing these three to the word but here. All right, so what is the main difference between these three words, although, though, and even though? Let's look at the things on the right hand side. We can put these three connectives, okay, or conjunctions after the main clause. Okay, so what is the main clause here? She did not give up. This is the main clause. Okay, although she had failed twice. Okay, so you can put the although in the middle, in the beginning of the sentence, or in the middle of the sentence as well. When we put although in the middle of the sentence, there is no comma here. All right, another example. What is the difference between although and even though? Even though is stronger in meaning than although. Okay, so it's just the meaning is stronger. That's all. So even though she had failed twice, she did not give up. Okay, it's just stronger in meaning. That's all. Not much difference anyway. What about though? What's the difference between the other two? It is used in a more informal style. Informal, that means casual. Okay, so we use though instead of although. So that means although is more formal, though is more casual. Okay, informal, that means casual. All right, so this is the casual way of using though. Though she had failed twice, she didn't give up. Or you can say she didn't give up. Sorry. Or you can say that she had failed twice, comma, she didn't give up though, full stop. Okay, you can also say that. All right, so we can also put though at the end of the sentence. Okay, like this one. Example, she had failed twice, full stop. She didn't give up, comma, though. Okay, so we can put the though in the beginning and in the end, or at the end of a sentence as well. Okay, pay attention to this one. We do not use but together with all those things. So you cannot say this one. This is wrong. Can you see the cross here? Although the restaurant was crowded, comma. Don't put the word but, okay, there. It's incorrect, okay? Because although has got the meaning of but here already, okay? Unlike Chinese, okay? Although has got the meaning of but here already, okay? So you don't need to repeat. These three words do not use the word with but, okay? So the correct one should be, although the restaurant was crowded, comma, they managed to find a table. Okay, this should be the correct version. All right, let's move on to the next slide. More about contrasting ideas and in a greater detail about what's the difference between though, although, and even though. Okay, when we use although with one clause. Okay, it makes the idea in another clause more important. So which is more important? That means the second one, the one without although. That clause. That means that clause is more important. Example, Mr. Chen says, although Tom is quite clever, comma, he is a bit lazy. So he wants to make emphasize on here. He is a bit lazy. This is more important. Okay. So Mr. Chang is critical of Tom in this case. All right. Another example, Mrs. Liu, okay, says that although Tom is a bit lazy, he is quite clever. So he wants to emphasize that the other clause is more important. He wants to emphasize that he is quite clever, even though Tom is lazy. Okay, he is okay quite clever. Okay, So he is just saying that he is quite clever. This one is more important. Cleverness is more important. Okay, he wants to emphasize this part rather than the part that is close to the although clause. All right, so that means Mrs. Liu is positive about Tom because he thinks he's quite clever in this sentence. He's emphasizing on this part. All right, so another example, Tom can finish his work very fast, although he is a lazy person. So even though he's a lazy person, Tom can still finish his work very fast. Okay, notice that there is no comma. Okay, if used between two clauses, when we put the although, there are no comma. Okay, between clause 1 and clause 2, no commas if it is put in the middle of the two clauses. Okay, though it's actually basically it's an adverb. Okay, it has the same meaning as however. Though is a bit more formal than although, as I just mentioned earlier. Though is more casual. Okay. Example. Yesterday was foggy. Foggy, that means you can't see things clearly. Okay. Today though, that means but today though is not so foggy. Okay. So the word though can be used in the beginning, in the middle of the sentence, and in the end of the sentence. Okay. For though. Okay. Yesterday was foggy, full stop. Today is not so foggy, though it can be used, okay, at the end of the sentence for though. So this word is excellent. You can put the word though in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Can you put although at the end of the sentence? No, no, no. Okay, mostly you can put although in the beginning and in the middle of the sentence only. Okay. Only though can be used in the end of the sentence. You can put in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end of the sentence for though. Okay. All right. So what about even though? Even though is similar to although, but it shows a surprising or unexpected contrast. For example, our car runs perfectly even though it's over 10 years old. Okay, so this is a surprising or unexpected contrast because it's so old. Okay, if it's so old, when you use a car for more than 10 years old, it's actually quite old for a car, but it still runs perfectly. Okay, so it's showing a surprising or unexpected result. Okay, you don't expect an old car to run so well. So it's just the meaning is a little bit different. Okay, comparing with even though to although. Surprising result for even though. All right, next slide. So I hope in conclusion, though, although, even though, you know where the positions are and how to use them, and you know the differences between these three, and it is used as an adverb, and it is used after subject and a verb. Okay, so this is something that you need to pay attention to. All right, more expressing contrast. We have still, all the same, even so, however, nevertheless. Okay, basically they have the same meaning. Okay, they are very similar meaning. They can be used interchangeably. For example, she had failed twice. Still, comma, she did not give up. Okay, that means but, however, similar meaning. Okay, another example, she had failed twice, all the same, comma, she did not give up. It has similar meaning. All of those have similar meaning. So I'm not going to read through one by one. All right. There is something that I would like you to pay attention to is look at the remark. We use these words to join ideas expressed over two sentences. Okay. We can use however plus adverb or adjective. That means however followed by adverb or followed by adjective. However hard, this is the adjective here. Okay. However hard he tried. Okay. So when we use the word however hard, you can use however hard followed by adjective. However hard he tried. That means no matter how hard he tried, he could not change her mind. However hard, that means no matter how hard he tried. Okay, followed by adverb, he still could not change her mind. That means he can be very stubborn. Okay, no matter how hard you tried, you still cannot change her mind. Okay, or it can be followed by an adjective. So however happy she may look, okay, you can still feel she is unhappy. So however happy, you can be, however can be followed by adverb or adjective. Okay, so that's the case. Comparing with this one, okay, if the meaning is the same, you can express however with another way. Another way for saying however hard he tried, he could not change her mind. That means no matter how hard he tried, he could not change her mind. You can also say he tried hard, however, he could not change her mind. The meaning is about the same. Okay, so you can use it this way or you can put it that way as well. Okay, for when you're using the however, this is something that you need to pay attention to, something more special than the rest, than still all the same, even so, and nevertheless. Okay, next slide. More connectives about contrasting ideas. We have despite, in spite of. Okay, they all mean the same as although, even though, similar meaning. Okay, so when do we use in spite of and despite? Okay, in spite of and despite are prepositions. So this they are acting as preposition. Okay, it's just like a preposition, and they are followed by a noun or followed by a pronoun or followed by a gerund or followed by a noun phrase. Okay, so this is something maybe you need to remember. So I'm going to give you some more examples later on. Okay, they are actually similar to even though, but they are a bit more formal than even though. So when we are using in spite of, despite, they are more formal. Okay, so and they are more typical of written English. So usually we use despite and in spite of when we use it in the writing, in written English rather than spoken English. Okay, so that's why you don't see it that often. You only see it in formal in written English. Let me give you an example how to use in spite of. Usually in spite of is followed by a noun. Can you see? In spite of the danger is a noun. Okay, so even though there are some dangerous things happening, okay, in spite of the danger, comma, John went into the burning building. Look at the burning building. Oh my God. So although it's quite dangerous, John went into the burning building. So you can say it this way, in spite of the danger, followed by noun. Okay, John went into the burning building. Or you can say, in spite of liking orange juice, okay, followed by a gerund. Okay, can you see gerund? Yes, gerund. It can be followed by gerund, right? In spite of liking, we don't say in spite of like. Okay, like is a verb. Okay, we need to change it to gerund. So that's why liking. In spite of liking orange juice, okay, I am having apple juice today. So even though I like orange juice, but I'm having apple juice today. Okay, this is what I mean. Okay, that means it's for a concession, but not for contrast. Okay, so when we're using in spite of, all right, and make sure that we put the comma after in spite of. Okay, we use comma and then the next clause. All right. Another example, Mary continued to play tennis despite feeling faint. That means feeling she is a bit uncomfortable. Okay, fainting. That means dizzy. Okay, but she still continued to play table tennis although feeling faint. So we say despite followed by a gerund. Okay, sometimes it's followed by a noun phrase. Okay, phrase that means two or more words without a verb. Okay, so this is what phrase is. Okay, all right. So you need to remember this formula. In spite of, despite, they are preposition. They are followed by noun, pronoun, gerund, or noun phrase. Okay. All right. So in spite of, despite, there are some more examples that you can look at. For example, in spite of her previous failure. Okay, this is the noun. Can I type words? I don't seem to be able to type. This is her previous failure. This is actually then I wonder if I can type. No, I can't type here. Can I use the pen? Okay, it's okay. I can't type. All right, so you need to know that this one, her previous failure, that is a noun phrase. Okay, previous failure. Can you see failure is a noun? More than two words is a phrase. Okay, so in spite of her previous failure, this is a noun phrase. So although she failed, she did not give up. That's what it means. Okay, or you can say despite feeling. Um, Despite feeling unwell, can you see despite is followed by a noun or ing? Okay. Um, so although she felt unwell, she still went to the party. That's what it means. You can put it in another way. Despite feeling unwell, use after a gerund or a noun. Despite feeling unwell, she went to the party. Okay. There are some remarks that you need to pay attention to. We can also say in spite of, or we can say despite the fact that. Can you see despite the fact that? Okay. It's the same. In spite of or despite the fact that she had failed twice, that means although she had failed twice, comma, she did not give up. Similar meaning. Okay. There are more contrasting connectives, while, whereas. Okay. So for example, she's reckless and talkative, while or whereas his brother is, that means but. Okay, similar to meaning to but. His brother is reserved and quiet. Okay, so it's just opposite to reckless, to reserved, and talkative. But someone talks a lot and someone who is quiet, it's just opposite meaning. Okay, so you can make use of in spite of, despite, while, and whereas, but make sure you follow by some specific patterns. Okay. All right, so if you can refer to the previous slide, and then you will know how to use those connectives properly. All right, let's move on to the next slide. We still have no matter how, or no matter what, no matter where. Okay, so no matter how usually is followed by no matter how he tried, or no matter how hard he tried. Okay, he could not persuade her. Okay, or no matter what, no matter how, no matter what he said, he could not persuade her. Okay, that means it doesn't matter. No matter how, that means doesn't matter how. No matter what, doesn't matter what happened. Okay, he could not persuade her. Okay, so this is another way of expressing contrast when we use no matter how. No matter how hard he tried, so it doesn't matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't convince her, he still couldn't persuade her. Okay, so this is how we use no matter how. No matter what for things. Okay, no matter what he said or no matter what he did. Okay, that means I don't care what he said, it doesn't matter what he has said, he still could not persuade her or convince her. Similar meaning. Okay, sometimes we can also use matter with the expression it doesn't matter what you say. Okay, or you can say no matter what, no matter how, or you can say it doesn't matter what you say, or it doesn't matter how hard you may try, you won't change her mind. Okay, so you can add this word it doesn't to replace the word no. Okay, it doesn't matter what or no matter what. Okay, they're similar. More expressing contrast. Okay, when we use adjective and adverb followed by s, so this is something that we don't encounter usually. Okay, so this is an adverb, of course, this is the adverb. Okay, so hard as he tried, he could not persuade her. Okay, that means he had tried very hard. Okay, even though hard as, that means although he had tried very hard, he still could not persuade her, convince her. Okay, yeah, so this is very similar. If you find it uncomfortable using it, then you don't have to use this one. Okay, so another one, bad is an adjective. Okay, bad is actually an adjective. So bad as the weather was, comma, they still enjoy the holiday. So that means although the weather was bad, comma, they still enjoy their holiday. That's what it means. Okay. So you can use adjective as or adverb as, okay, for the same meaning as although, similar meaning. Okay. And there are more. For all is followed by a noun. Okay, so his effort is a noun. This is a noun. Okay, for all his effort, he could not persuade her. Okay, so that is similar meaning. Even though she had put in lots of effort, okay, trying to persuade her, but she still could not persuade her. You can put it in another way. For all plus noun, for all his effort. Okay. So pay attention to the remark as well. We use for all in the same way as in spite of or despite. But for all can be followed by a clause. Okay, this is something special. Clause, that means we have subject and then a verb. This is called a clause. Okay, similar to a sentence. Okay. So let's look at these two examples. In spite of or despite his effort. Can you see in spite of, despite of his effort? This is a noun. Can you see the noun? Effort is a noun. So although he had put in so much effort trying to persuade her, however, he still could not persuade her. Okay, so despite or in spite of followed by noun. For all he did. Can you see for all has to follow by a subject and a verb. Okay, the subject is he here, and then the verb is did. For all he did, comma, he did not persuade her. Okay, so even though he did so many things, okay, or he said so many things, he still could not persuade her. Okay. So you can use it this way as well. But of course, if you found it a bit uncomfortable using it because you don't use it that often, then you don't have to force yourself to use it. But you need to understand when people say something like this, you need to know the meaning of it. Okay, so that's all for today's lesson about expressing contrast. Okay, thank you for listening. I will see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.